welcome to foosball, where everyone gets a free prenup. And look at that. I clicked the button so fast to go to the 3-up because, like, us three, we're team prenup, all right? Everybody in the NFL. In fact, maybe it should be a rule that every time you get drafted in the NFL, you have to have a just fill out the prenup.
It's part of the NFL contract. They're like, yeah, here's, your bonus. Here's your practice money. Here's your prenup.
Here's your meal voucher. Here's your whatever. Here's your new uniform. Here's prenup for you.
Yeah, we don't want to have any distractions for you in the off season, when she wakes up and she's like, later.
I think all this fuels Travis Hunter, though, who we're talking about. And the reason I bring it up is because today on Foosball, we're talking about the playoffs. Playoffs, yeah. We're talking about the playoffs. The NFL playoffs. Playoffs. Yeah, and there might be some surprise teams in there. There might be some other surprises and shaking up here and there. Our theory at Foosball is that we try, even though we're foolish playing foosball, we're trying to actually be realistic. In reality, things don't repeat. They don't usually stay the same. The same one team that's good one year as usually not as good the next year. So you got to shake it up. You have to have new things. You can't just pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl every year. You know what I mean? And plus they're old, like their players are old now. So whatever.
Yeah.
Nick Beard, okay, when you're thinking about the NFL playoffs, what is exciting to you about the playoffs this year? Like what do you think is going to like shock and awe the people?
Well, we already know that there's going to be new playoff teams, right? Every year they pick the same teams and it's all kind of boring. And, to our credit, we didn't pick our playoff teams first. We just picked the games. So there was some teams that were obvious. There were some teams that maybe weren't. But I'm excited for this NFL playoffs because I do believe in my heart that the Chiefs are not going to the Super Bowl.
They're not
for the first time in forever.
Like, are we an anti-Chiefs podcast? Is that what we are?
I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of watching the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I think everybody is. Like, there's 32 teams in the league. Come on, AFC. Let's go.
Look, I'm starting even not to want to listen to Taylor Swift songs. It's like you're just oversaturated so much, whatever. Like,
that's a lie. You love Taylor Swift. Come on. You'll never stop.
Oh, no, I'll never stop. I did sing karaoke in the car with my friends in Austin, Texas, some Taylor Swift in a Cybertruck. So that's how cool I am, right?
That sounds like a made-up world. I feel like you're right. I feel like that could not
real.
happen.
And it was a lot of fun because it wasn't my Cybertruck. I don't have to drive that thing around.
Fair enough.
Imagine the looks you get driving around that thing. Dave, going into these playoffs, man, like, I know you're a fan of my playoff picks. You were like, Doug, man, these playoff picks are perfect and everything. But like, what do you, in your vision of the future, and your vision of the future of thinking about these playoffs, I know you're a Bears fan, so it's almost like you're allergic to them. But what do you foresee as being like the exciting thing about this year's playoffs? Is there going to be shakeups? Is there going to be like new teams? Like, what's going to be exciting?
Playoffs aren't going to be exciting until next season. This year, I still don't care. This year, the season won't end at the end of November. This year, the season might actually last until December.
So you're saying they got a chance. They got a dog in the fight.
He's saying next year the Bears will make the playoffs, and he's not convincing himself that they'll do it this year. So good on you, Dave.
Yeah,
good on you,
exactly.
Dave.
This year, I'm starting to listen to the NFL Stock Exchange already, looking to see the draft picks out there. I don't know. This year, the playoffs should be a lot of fun. Like you said, Chiefs are out there, but I think there's enough teams that have had growth. As far as the coaching, young guys that came up. Detroit, they had an interesting year last year. They lost their coordinators, but at the same time, there's no way they could have that many people hurt again this year, could it?
Well, Dave,
it could be one injury, and it could be to Jared Goff.
Before we get to the Lions, though, real quick,
they got a hooker; they'll be fine.
That I talked to the head of the Bears fan club, our dad, and he said that I asked him about the draft picks and the tight end. And he's like, "Well, he's tall." Okay, Dave, he's tall. Okay, so there you go. You're going to make the playoffs soon. You got a tall tight end.
Yeah,
there you go.
7th round, all-pro running back. Yeah, what an offseason again for the Bears.
And now you have 9 tight ends on the team. I'm sure he's not. You have probably other tall tight ends too. So you're set.
Here's the good news, everybody. We don't have to talk about the Bears anymore the rest of this episode because they didn't make the playoffs.
Right. Out of the way.
So let's look. So here's how we're going to do it. Here's the breakdown, everybody. So again, we picked all our games beforehand, and then we did the math to figure out who won, the divisions, winning percentages, all that, who made the playoffs. So let's go to the first slide, Hype, and show everybody what we look like in the NFC. We're going to start in the NFC first, everybody. So Hype's NFC. He's got the Eagles in the first seed at 13-4. The Lions win in the North at 12-5. Yep. The Rams win in the West at 11-6, and the Bucks with a losing record win in the South. Very plausible. The South's terrible. And then the Packers in the 5th seed, 49ers in the 6th, and Commanders sneaking into the 7th seed, making it back to the playoffs.
I feel really strongly that these are going to be the playoff teams. I mean, who knows what will really happen? But
I like your playoff picks. I mean, you've got the 49ers as a team that didn't make it last year that will this year, right? So you got to have at least one or two new dogs in there. So that's good. You got that one. Rams winning that division, very plausible. Buccaneers winning, very plausible. Packers and Commanders, kind of rounding it out just like last year. Very plausible. So let's go to the Eagles. So Dave's got Rams also winning the West, but in the 2 seed with a 12-5 record behind the Eagles. Bucks in the 3. Lions in the 4, losing coordinators, right? Maybe they take a few off. Also the 49ers, also the Commanders. But the Falcons snuck in there.
Wow.
For Dave. Chief Greengrass got the Falcons in. How do you feel about those playoff teams, Chief?
Pretty much everything aligned with Dougie. The only difference was I actually had a team with a winning record in the South.
Right. A good one, the 3rd seed even.
What?
The 3rd seed even.
We had the Bucks and the Falcons both. I love their quarterback. I love that offense that they have. Drafted another wide receiver for the firepower. The defense is dumpster fire, but it should be all sorts of fun. If they
you have them as being better than the Packers, so there's that.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Dave does not have the Packers in the playoffs, guys. Did you notice that? Not a homer at all. Not a Bears fan making picks. No, they're definitely not making the playoffs, according to Chief Greengrass. So
definitely not.
Okay, I think how it is.
The Atlanta Falcons are. I mean, I could see like him picking the Vikings to make it, and not the Packers, but the Falcons. I mean,
no Vikings either. Well, so let's look at mine. I got the Eagles. We've all got the Eagles at number 1. Kind of boring there. Very possible, but without injuries, they are, I think, the best team. I got the Lions at 2 again. I got the Falcons at 3, winning the South with 11 wins. The Seahawks sneaking in from the West at the 4 seed, followed by my Packers. Then I got my Panthers in there. I'm excited. My Panthers made the playoffs. I was hoping they'd make it. They did, 6 seed. And then I got the Rams rounding it out at 7. I'm pretty happy. I got 3 new playoff teams in there from last year. I actually really like that. I wanted to make sure I got some new blood in. Again, didn't think of this beforehand. Just kind of picked the teams I thought would be good. So I got 3 new teams.
You guys think the Falcons are the greatest football team of all time? Look at that. They're 3rd.
Dude, their offense was really good last year. And Penix, still growing. I mean, they've got weapons everywhere. I don't know about, Raheem Morris necessarily being a great coach, but I think he's definitely better than what they've had for a couple of years. So if he can do anything with that defense that's been atrocious for about 5 years, if he can do anything with that defense, the Falcons should win a decent amount of football games, and they don't have a terribly hard schedule. So I feel like 11 wins is plausible for them. Also feel like 6 could happen. We'll see.
I mean, if Eugene Robinson comes as like a special assistant, they'll definitely make it to the playoffs.
Yeah. I really like the Falcons in the South. Go ahead, Dave.
And the Falcons, the other 2 teams of the divisions are Niners. The only reason their schedule is this good is just because they had the 4th place.
Yeah, they got a cakewalk schedule.
They got a pretty cake schedule. Otherwise, I would have had them missing the playoffs.
And for me, the Rams and the Niners had about the same record, but the Rams just from division and conference record made it in for me. So they got the 7th instead of the Niners for me. So, no Niners this year again. All right, so we've got all our playoff teams, guys, 1 through 7. As we know, the Eagles are going to get a bye. So the Eagles aren't on here, but here's our first round playoff matchup. So Commanders versus Lions for Dougie, San Francisco versus the Rams, Los Angeles Rams, and then Green Bay versus Tampa Bay. So you already got your winners there on the right. Hype, walk me through each game and why you think that team's going to win those games.
So this is the thing. The Lions are really good, okay? But they've got new coordinators. They lost their center. Their things are going to be shaken up. They played through a lot of injuries last year. Super impressive. But then they got crushed in the playoffs by the Commanders.
Yep.
And they're playing, look who they're playing, the Commanders. So why can't the Commanders crush them again? I mean, what are you all of a sudden gonna like be able to handle Jaden Daniels in the playoffs? I don't know. I just think I just saw it happen last year. So I'm picking them to win that game again. And I think Jaden Daniels, he might not have as good of a regular season this year. He might have like a little bit of a sophomore slump as people game plan for him. But I think in the playoffs, he's now going to be battle tested. So he's going to beat the Lions.
I mean, even last year in the playoffs, he was unbelievable. Like, that Jordan Love game in Dallas was amazing. And then the next game in San Francisco, he kind of had some hiccups. Like, Jaden Daniels had 3 spectacular playoff games in the playoffs, like in a row. So that was impressive. Now, ultimately, they didn't beat the Eagles. He did make a few mistakes, but he was still really good in that game. He was way better than Mahomes was in the Super Bowl against that same defense, right?
Yeah.
So I think I kind of agree with you, Doug. I think Jaden Daniels takes a bit of a step back, but I think he's got like so much like game day, like just winner, and he's shown it in multiple games.
He's going to have experience now.
He's going to be dangerous in the playoffs. He seems like a dangerous playoff quarterback. So yeah, I can definitely see that. All right, so you got San Francisco, Los Angeles, and you got the Rams pulling that one out. Do you think the Rams just got too much for them?
Yeah, I really like the Rams this year. Dave does too, it looks like. And you do also. Look, it's like it's going to be the last hurrah for a lot of those guys on the team, maybe to be able to make it to a Super Bowl. If all their wide receivers and skill players can stay healthy, I just don't know how you slow down that offense. Like, and they have a pretty good they have young. This is the thing. Remember, the Eagles had all these young guys on defense play really well last year. The Rams did too. They have a bunch of guys that just like jumped out and had great seasons that no one expected on the Rams. So they've got a young defense. I feel like they've got like, the structure to do really well. So, and plus in that division of the Niners and the Rams and stuff, the Rams tend to I feel like they just kind of know how to beat the Niners.
Fair enough. All right. And then you've got, the lovely Cheesehead country against the Bake Show down there in Tampa Bay.
That's going to be a highlight game where there's going to be a lot of deep throws and crazy. Baker Mayfield and Love both like to sling it around.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to be a showdown also between the two teams that picked receivers in the first round, right?
And have no cornerbacks. Neither team has cornerbacks.
They have no.
There's going to be a lot of points in that game. Yeah.
Everyone's going to throw for 600 yards in this game. There's going to be 1,200 yards of passing. But I think Matthew Golden's better than the guy that the Buccaneers got. I think Matthew Golden is going to be he's like the new Donald Driver of the Packers. He's just reliable and he's good.
We'll see. I mean, Matthew Golden's got a lot more pressure on him than Mbuka. I think Mbuka is going to be slowly worked into the offense.
Yeah, but I think Matthew Golden likes that pressure. He wants to be number one.
I mean, honestly, I think this comes down to like the defenses, and I'm not saying our defense is that much better, but I think Hafley does enough with the limited resources to where we'll have just enough stops on defense to pull it out. So
and the Packers, like star players from last year on defense, were kind of the rookies, like Evan Williams.
Yeah. Dude, Rashawn Gary didn't do much. Like Kenny Clark didn't do much, if I'm being honest. Right?
Well, yeah, turf toe surgery,
and we got Edgerrin Cooper in there who was hurt a lot too.
And Jair wasn't even there at the end of the year. So
Jair wasn't even there anyways. But I feel like those young guys are now going to step up and be leaders on the team, and this defense is going to be a little bit better in the secondary.
I hope so. All right, so those are Dougie's picks. He's got the Commanders, Rams, and the Packers moving on. Chiefs, you got Falcons versus Rams in the first game. All right, walk us through your playoff scenarios and your teams. What are you seeing?
Falcons, this season is going to be a step up from last year. It's going to be progress, but you don't really expect to go to the playoffs and win your first game with the second-year quarterback. It's pretty much going to be his rookie year because he only had the 3 starts. Going against Stafford, the veteran, McVay, they've done this before. They got some vets on there who are going to be hungry. So I'd give the nod to the Rams for that. Second round is just going to be Jane Daniels versus that secondary. Again, that's going to be fireworks. That's going to be a lot of scoring there, but ultimately the Bucs aren't going to be able to make any stops. I don't even know if the Commanders have to punt the ball at all. I'd say the over-under on punts for that game might be 1.5 for what the Commanders have to do. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. Like I said, I love Baker. He's a lot of fun to watch. 2 dynamic quarterbacks. I just give the nod to Jaden in that one. And then for the third game, like I said, the Niners are here because they got a cakewalk schedule. And I think that the Lions can't have the injuries that they had last year. I think that they'll be solid. there's just too many holes for San Francisco to go on the road to Detroit, and I like the Lions in this one.
Fair enough. So Rams, Commanders, and Lions moving through for Chief. All right. Now I've got Rams, Lions to start out, and yep, I picked the Lions to lose. Do I think the Rams are a better team? I do not. But I do think that Stafford coming back to Detroit and Jared Goff playing against what was the best pass rush in the NFL technically last season in the Rams, Jared Goff turns into a pumpkin when you get pass rush on him. He's awful.
Yep.
So
And he lost his center.
Yeah, and the
Which is
Rams
huge.
have an unbelievably good pass rush. This is a terrible matchup for the Lions. I think the Lions are one and done. I'm sorry, guys. I know I have them in the 2 seed. I think they're being very good. They're going to be very good. But I think this Rams team is a nightmare matchup for the Lions. And I think they pull it out. And I think Stafford makes all the Detroit fans sad. Sorry, guys, but he pulls it out. He's a better playoff quarterback than Jared Goff. He just is. So I take the Rams there. Now I got my lovely Panthers playing the Falcons. So I got an NFC South matchup in the playoffs. That almost sounds unreal, and it probably won't happen. But if it does, I think it'll be exciting. I got Bryce Young going to play in Atlanta against against Bijan and all those weapons. But I think Atlanta barely pulls this one out. I think they just got too much on offense, and I think Atlanta will get through this game, which means that an NFC South team is going to move on for me, which I legitimately cannot believe, but that's just how it worked out, guys. And then I got the Green Bay Packers going to Nightmare Land in Seattle, which we always screw up. Like, we always screw it up when we go to Seattle. But thankfully, Sam Darnold screws up more. And I think Sam Darnold gives us a few gifts in this game, and we end up just squeaking out a win in Seattle. I got the Packers moving on. Yeah, I'm a homer. I don't care. All right. So those are our picks for the first round, guys. I got Rams. I got Falcons. I got Packers moving on. Let's go to round 2. Here are the Eagles, number 1 seed for all of us. Doug's got the NFC Championship game matchup, Commanders versus Eagles, and then Packers versus Rams. What do you got, Doug?
So in this matchup, if you just match up the teams, the Eagles are a better team, but I think that the Eagles, Jaden Daniels is hurt a lot. There's a lot of and also I think they're going to have like a drawback. Last year, everyone played.
Jalen Hurts is hurt a lot.
Yeah, you mean Jalen Hurts
is hurt a lot. Yeah. And last year, everyone played out of their minds. Like, you look at their PFF rankings, everything, everybody played like so out of their minds. But I don't think all those players are actually that good. You know what I mean? A lot of it was the defensive line was playing amazing, just getting teams on their back heels and waiting for balls to be thrown up that were bad and picking them off. Like, yeah, they did a good job, but I feel like everything just was like the best they possibly could be. So there'll be some drawback. And I think Jaden Daniels is going to come back now and be battle tested, and he's going to beat the Eagles. And I just feel like Jaden and Hurts is always hurt on some level. There's always injuries and stuff happening with these guys. Saquon Barkley is getting older too. The Eagles are really good, but I feel like the Commanders are going to beat them. And I think Jaden Daniels is going to have one of those games where he's just unstoppable. He's just going to keep scoring. Like, even with his great defense the Eagles have, but it's really hard to account for a guy who can run really well and pass really well.
Fair enough. All right, and then Green Bay goes into the beautiful stadium SoFi in California, Los Angeles, California. They pulled this one out, Doug?
Yeah, so this is the thing. That for some reason, the Packers always seem to beat the Rams in the playoffs.
LaFleur is undefeated against Sean McVay, guys, by the way. He's never lost to Sean McVay. And he's also never beat Kyle Shanahan. No, I take that back. He did beat Kyle Shanahan once, but he's like 1-5 against him.
Yeah, we're undefeated against Sean McVay. And I think the Rams are really super good, and they have that great pass rush and everything. But I just think it's one of those things where the Rams are a good matchup for the Packers. They're kind of similar teams with like a big passing game and everything. But I think the difference will be the Packers running game and Josh Jacobs will be able to run on the Rams. They have a pretty good defense, but I think he'll be able to run on the Rams. And I don't think the Rams run offense will do as well because the Packers have a pretty good rushing defense. And that's just what I'm thinking is going to happen in this game, because even though it might not, the Packers tend to play well and beat the Rams.
They do historically. Yes. All right. So Dave, you got the same matchup round 1, Commanders at Philly, but you got Philly winning. Walk me through it.
I think Philly is able to make 2 to 3 stops.
That's all they need.
Realistically, this is a dynamic offense. It's just like in the first round for the Commanders. Their quarterback, he's amazing. They got him additional weapons. They got him Debo. He has too deep a tight end. The rookie that they drafted in the second round last year, he only got 5 passes. But Ben Sinnott is his relative athletic score is amazing. He's an athlete. He's an athlete. Zach Ertz is where he needed to be. He could catch it, fall down, continue to move the chains. This year, you can start to expand your quarterback a little bit more. The offense is going to expand a little bit more. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But, they still have a couple too many holes. Basically, the Eagles are just going to run in this game. A little bit of play action. You don't need very much of Jalen Hurts to do anything as long as he's healthy. Even with they can even go with Quadzilla at running back. And I think that they'll be able to beat that Commander defense. So it'll be a high scoring affair. I think 3 stops is all that it's going to take. And then pivoting over to the next game, Lions at the Rams. Like I said, this is the Rams. This is where the age starts to catch up. Their old quarterback, Devonta Adams, he's amazing, but he has a lot of mileage on his wheels. I think going this far into the playoffs, he's going to be giving it all. He's a wily veteran and whatnot, but he might start to slow down at this point. He'll be 33. The health of their other wide receiver, Puka Nacua, he's kind of 50-50 if he can make it this far. So yeah, I think that this year that injury and age is going to hurt the other team, and it'll be beneficial to the Lions, who should be healthy. Jameson Williams should have a good year this year, be a solid number 2 complement.
He's on my fantasy team.
Yes, he is.
Will he have a good year? We'll find out. It's been almost his year for quite a long time, but maybe that's the year. Maybe
he was good last year. They just didn't use him.
He did actually have a decent year, but we expected, I think, a lot more from him. And Amon-Ra kind of rose to the levels that I think people thought Jameson Williams might rise to. But hey, I mean, as a number 2, he's amazing. So you got the Lions going through. Dan Campbell taking the Lions to the NFC Championship game 2 of the last 3 years. I can definitely see that happening. You guys both got the Rams losing. I mean, we all think the Rams are dangerous in the playoffs, so I got them losing too. So I got them going to Philly, though. And I think it's going to be a really good game. I really do. But as much as I think Stafford is a really good playoff quarterback, Stafford's also prone to throw picks and turnovers. He gets aggressive with the ball. And Philly's just got a lot of ball hawks, man. They got a lot of guys that take the ball away. And I think it's just a bad matchup for the Rams. I really do. The Eagles are a bad matchup for just about anybody, but specifically for Stafford and the way they play that defense, I think there's going to be a turnover or two. And just like last year, it'll be a good game. But I think Eagles pull that one out and go to the NFC Championship game. And then I got Green Bay at Atlanta. I'm definitely picking the Packers. My reasons, I don't really know, to be honest, because I don't really believe in the Falcons. I think they're going to be better. But the only reason I really had them winning in the first round is because they were playing the Panthers in their same division. I kind of feel like the Falcons are a one and done playoff level team right now.
They're just playing the Panthers of the NFC North, Derek.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to realize that.
Yeah, and so they got the first game against the Panthers. They get kind of a free win, but I don't think I'm not really afraid of the Falcons in the playoffs yet because they still need so much work on defense. Their run game is inconsistent. I do really like their team, but I just don't see them as a dangerous playoff team yet. So I got the Packers beating them. So I got Eagles versus Packers. Dave's got Eagles versus Lions. Doug's Hype's got Commanders versus Packers, which means the 5th seeded Packers get the NFC Championship home game for Hype. That was not a coincidence at all.
That's 5
all right,
Super Bowls,
and you got them winning, huh?
5 Super Bowls.
So how are the Packers going to stop Jaden Daniels with Keyshawn Nixon running that cornerback room? What are we doing?
So this is the thing, guys. That the Packers, yeah, they have some holes on their team. They don't have the best cornerbacks, maybe. Maybe Bo Nix will turn out to be a great number 1 cornerback. I don't know. But the middle of the field, where they've got Edgerrin Cooper playing either middle linebacker or coming off the edge and varying it up, and Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney at safety. They've got some really exciting, young, fast guys on defense that I think are going to start causing turnovers and problems for other teams. They can read. Not only are they really athletic and great players, but they can read and maneuver on the field like a veteran already as rookies. So, and I think that's going to free up the defensive line to get more sacks and have more stuff happening. Not necessarily from a defensive lineman, but I think it's going to come from mix up blitzes. They're going to have confusing blitzes coming from all angles because they can move guys around and do all kinds of like chess on defense, and the safeties can take advantage of problems happening there. And the cornerbacks just have to kind of do their job, and they don't have to be amazing, but they just have to be pretty good. And Jaden Daniels, his running ability, the Packers have guys on their defense like Quay and other linebackers and safeties that can chase him down and get him. So I think that they're going to be playing chess with each other, and Jaden Daniels won't know what to do with the Packers defense, and the running game is going to get stopped by the Packers defense. And the Commanders defense doesn't really scare me when I have Matthew Golden, to be honest, on the offense. And Christian Watson will be back. When you have two guys that have like super crazy speed deep, that's what Jordan Love wants. He wants to just throw bombs all day and stretch out that defense so guys become open underneath, and Josh Jacobs can just eat. And I think their offensive line is going to be better this year. They've drafted some guys. Their guards will be better, and they'll be able to give Jordan Love some time. And this is the thing. Josh Jacobs was an amazing running back last year, and he didn't get very good blocking. Imagine if that offensive line actually could block well for him.
I think Josh Myers ranked 27th or 28th out of all centers in the NFL last year for like run blocking grade. It was bad.
And when they had to get people in for injuries, they were like a sieve. It was just like they just let turnstiles. But this is the thing, guys, that we might not even be remembering. Josh Jacobs, when he was recruited to the University of Alabama, he was recruited as a third down tweener receiving running back. Okay. He's really good at catching the ball. Like, he can play all three downs. He can do all kinds of stuff. So, and last year, it kind of like the people did give him credit, but I think Josh Jacobs is a really, really good running back. Like, he did lead the league in rushing one year on the Raiders of all teams, right?
He caught his first NFL touchdown last year on the Packers after the Raiders totally didn't utilize him
or use any of that. Imagine being drafted to Alabama, being third on the depth chart, as there was some kind of third down change up receiving back and returning kicks for touchdowns because you got the speed and athleticism. Then you get to the NFL and you put on weight, and now your running dude's over. Like, the guy has every single thing you want in one player, and the Packers did not take advantage of that this last year. But also the Packers have the advantage of, like, there's not big expectations on them this year. They're not like, because of last year they like underperformed. People are mostly like, Dave doesn't even have them in the playoffs, right? And if we remember the 2010 Super Bowl team, halfway through the season, they looked like trash. Then they got it together and they went on a run and beat everyone and won the Super Bowl because Rodgers and everybody got on page with each other. And I think Jordan Love's going to do that this year. I think he's going to get on the page with the receivers, the tight ends, and it's going to be a fluid offense as opposed to last year, which just looked like a bunch of people out of sync with each other.
Well, I will tell you this. I think there's a little bit less pressure, but I can tell you if the Packers have a home game in the NFC Championship, they are going to be expected to win, and that pressure will be back. And when I get to my pick about Matt LaFleur and NFC Championship games, I'll get into that. So for now, why don't we listen to Dave talk about the Lions-Eagles? What do you got for Lions-Eagles, Dave?
I just want to touch on one thing with Josh Jacobs. I think Green Bay did a fantastic job with their offensive line in this offseason. Yep. Getting that lineman from the Niners, I thought that was a big help. Being able to move Elton Jenkins over the center is going to be
he's a great run blocker. Our run blocking is going to be way better. So
and then they have guys on the bench now. These guys like Morgan and the guy they got this year that can come in and play and not be terrible. I think at least be serviceable and athletic.
Which I think they kind of also looked at the history of Josh Jacobs, because if you look at him, his rookie year, 1,100 yards, sophomore year, 1,000 yards, and then he had a dip because he went from 273 carries, and then the following year he only had 870 yards. The next after that, he followed up 340 carries, 1,600 yards, great year. Then his body wore down a little bit, 200 carries, 800 yards. Yep. So last year he had got 301 carries. So again. So he's been up and down, up and down. It's just kind of the way that his body's been working. I think the Packers looked at that history and they said, okay, he may have a down year because he carried the rock a lot last year. He carried it through a crappy line.
That's true, but also if you look at the blocking, though, those years he had down years, the blocking was like the worst in the league.
I mean, we all know the Raiders not block. We all know the Raiders can't block, but he's still that I think I get what Dave's saying. 350 carries down to 200, then up to 300, down to 200. I think at the end of the year, Dave, not to keep talking about the Packers, but in the last couple games of the season, you notice that he got way less carries than he had been getting earlier when Jordan Love was hurt. I think the Packers coaching staff paid attention to that, and they're like, hey, this guy's already at like 270 carries. Like, we got to like give him a break so he doesn't finish with 330 or 340, and get worn down or whatever for the playoffs. So I do like that insight, Dave. But I mean,
their backup was just as efficient as he was. When you look
Wilson
at his stats per carry, Wilson was legit.
Surprisingly good.
So if Green Bay actually does do some load management with him, and they mix him in, because you got that other guy to USC, but whatever.
They got
about
Lloyd,
him,
who was hurt last year,
and he had some issues with holding the ball in college. So, but right now with the backup they had last year, if they give load management, just a 60-40 split, 65-35, I think it's plausible for Green Bay to be in this position.
Yeah, but there's another X factor here, like Savion, who they drafted, and some of the other like tweaker guys. They might be running those guys around and doing like trick plays and like end arounds and maybe having them run the ball at times. So there's all kinds of like tricks I think LaFleur is going to pull out.
I could see LaFleur doing that. But before I could talk about the Packers all day, guys, but we got a lot to get through here. Dave, tell me why Dan Campbell's going to go to the Super Bowl. First Lions Super Bowl ever. So you're picking something that's never happened before, Dave. So you got to tell me why.
Saquon Barkley had basically 24 games worth of touches last year.
Yeah.
When you look at the playoffs with his workload, with the carries that he had, with the touches, everything else, it was like 450, 500 touches last year, which is just an amazing number. He got 2,000 yards. Granted, he had more 70-yard runs than anyone else, probably everyone else in the league combined, right? He had a lot of big runs. His line helped him out a lot, but still a lot of carries is going to be a lot of carries. So I think at this point you get to the NFC Championship game, and that'll start to drag them down a little bit so that their offense won't be working quite as effective as it did last year. Like we said, Quadzilla is going to be his backup running back. I don't really trust him. Dylan. Is that his name? I forget.
Yeah, but they have a guy they drafted, Shipley, I guess, who actually played a lot as their backup last year too. Who might be all right.
The guy from Clemson, he's okay. But I mean, come on, guys, we're talking about Saquon. Like, you don't replace Saquon. Like, no. There's 3 guys or 4 guys in the league that can even get close to what he can do. So yeah,
his vision and his shiftiness is going to be a lot. So then it becomes okay. Now you need to have Jalen Hurts is going to actually have to step up, play quarterback. He hasn't been doing it all year, and then he's going to hopefully have a healthy Aiden Hutchinson crashing down on him. I like the other pieces that they have on defense. So this becomes the Eagles keep leaning on it, and then eventually he's going to wear down. And I think that there's enough depth on the Lions to where they're going to be able to lean on their running game.
Yeah,
they lost right now. That's a huge loss. They're going to have a guy who's a rookie or second round player going in at center, but they also do a pretty good job with their offensive line coach of coaching everyone up. When you have 3 or 4 vets on that line, they'll be able to bring it up. They know what to do, so they'll be able to coach up the new center. It's going to be a rough first 8 weeks, but I think once you get to the playoffs, I think it'll be your veteran squad by then, right?
Yeah.
So I think their offensive line is going to be the remedy to the defensive line for the Eagles, and it's just going to be just enough with these defenses, with these lines. This could very well just be a 21-17 matchup. It'll be ugly. It won't be high scoring, but I think that's the key for the Lions to win in this matchup.
Because we know Goff's not going to put a bunch of points on the board against that defensive line. So
no, not at all.
Yeah, so the Lions defense is going to really have to show up to win that game. And yeah, I agree with you. If Saquon's not running through them, I think the Lions might be able to hang. So I like it. Hey, Lions have never been. That's a good call. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to call the same history that's happened many times where Matt LaFleur loses an NFC Championship game. And I'll tell you guys why. I think the Packers are a very good team. I think it's very plausible if they make it to this game. But if they play Philadelphia, they're going to lose. And I don't think it's because Philadelphia is extremely more talented than us. I think Matt LaFleur has like a Jekyll and a Hyde. Like, if you look at that Cowboys playoff game where like he was just playing loose and free, I mean, we looked unbelievable in that game. And yes, the Cowboys choke in the playoffs, so you got to put that into it. But remember, LaFleur went for it on like a 4th and goal from the 7, and we got it. Like, he just like had a giant sack that day. And then you look at last year in the last 2 games before the playoffs, and then the playoff game against Philadelphia, like, our team wasn't ready. They looked awful. And LaFleur was calling just, I'm going to be honest, awful plays. LaFleur looked awful. His playbook and the calls he was making was terrible. And I've seen this in the playoffs before. I've seen this in the NFC Championship game before. LaFleur like crunches up his butthole and like does all this weird stuff and doesn't play aggressive and tries not to lose instead of winning. And let me be clear, I really like Matt LaFleur as a coach. I think he is a very good coach, but I think he has a bit of Andy Reid in him where, let's remember, guys, Andy Reid went to a lot of NFC Championship games before he won one, right? And he went to Super Bowls before he won one. Andy Reid had like, is this guy ever going to win a Super Bowl about him until like year 15 when he finally won with the Chiefs, right? So I'm in no way saying get rid of Matt LaFleur, but what I am saying is I will not pick the Packers to go to the Super Bowl until I see it, because I do not believe Matt LaFleur is a good playoff coach yet. That doesn't mean he can't change, but he just squeezes that butthole too tight and won't get aggressive. And you can see it. You can see he gets nervous and he makes bad decisions, like not going for it on 4th down against the Buccaneers and kicking a field goal so Tom Brady can just get the ball. What are you doing? Like, okay, I could go over that game all day. That game pissed me off. But I'm sorry. I love you, Matt LaFleur, but I will not pick the Packers in the Super Bowl until you get there, because I don't like you in NFC Championship games at all. So picking the Eagles. All right, so we got our NFC winners. We got the Packers with hype. We got the Lions with the Chiefs, and we got, I picked the Eagles to go again. I'm boring. I suck. I'm sorry. All right, moving on to the AFC. Now that we know our NFC teams. Yeah. So Hype's got the Bills, Chiefs got Ravens. I got Bills at 1. Hype's got Chiefs, Ravens, Texans, Bengals, Broncos. And what the the Raiders?
The Raiders.
Is that the Raiders?
Pete Carroll and the Raiders.
Okay, I was teasing Doug for giving the Raiders 8 wins. I had no idea they were actually going to make the playoffs until I made this. And I was like, holy crap, the Raiders are in the playoffs.
You were real excited about it.
Good on you, dude. That's a new team. The Bengals are a new team, so you got 2 new teams in there. Hey, I love it. Let's switch things up. Anything other than picking the same old nonsense, I am all for. So go Raiders. Dave's got Chiefs, Bills, Broncos, Jaguars making it. They didn't make it last year. Chiefs, Chargers, Bengals. He didn't make it last year. She got 2 new teams in there. Good job, Dave. I got Bills, Chiefs, Bengals. I got the Jaguars as well. Chargers, Ravens, Broncos. So I only got 1 team new from the AFC, but I had 3 from the NFC. So I had 4 new teams. Dave had 3 new teams. Doug had 3 new teams. So, hey, at least we got some new teams in there, guys. So that's what we got. We got Bills, Ravens, Bills, number 1. So you guys won't see them on the next sheet. So let's take a look at that and look at our matchups for round 1 in the AFC. There's the Raiders going to Kansas City. All right, Doug. Who's winning that game? Raiders or the Chiefs?
I was so tempted to have Pete Carroll beat the Chiefs. We all like are annoyed.
Dude, I would be the happiest camper on the planet if the Raiders went in there and blasted the Chiefs out.
I feel like Pete Carroll's going to bring in enough of like his credibility and stability to make the Raiders better. But yeah, I have the Chiefs beating them because the Raiders roster is just not going to beat the Chiefs. I'm sorry. Their quarterback situation, there's no way. Like, Pete Carroll's going to – this is as much as Pete Carroll can get out of this team. You know what I mean? Like, as much as he can extract goodness out of the Raiders, it's about all you can get. But who knows, man? In their conference, there's upsets a lot, like in the AFC West. So, like
there is,
like,
but I mean, at Kansas City has not been an upset for a long time. Let's be honest.
Kansas City is not, and they're not going to get upset this time. So we're going with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Losing to the Chiefs, of course. But the big question is the Broncos and the Ravens. That Broncos defense is going to be on the level of the Ravens defense. I think maybe it could even be better.
Yeah.
Than the Ravens defense. And then you got 2 quarterbacks that are exciting. I just don't think that Bo Nix can outdo Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is so good. And Lamar Jackson could just run the ball every play if he wanted to. So I have the Ravens winning that game. But I think the Broncos are going to get to be pretty good. I think all of us agree the Broncos will be pretty good, obviously, as we have them in the playoffs against competing with some really, really good teams. But yeah, the Ravens also drafted some like mean sons of guns on defense this year. So their defense might be really, really good this year. And then the Bengals and the Texans, I just don't think the Texans have good defense and the Bengals have good offense. So, but I think that the Texans and their offensive line woes are just going to be too much. I don't think they're not going to be able to keep up with the scoring maven that is the Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver room. I mean, both those guys are literally all pro wide receivers that they got out there that you can just throw the ball up to any play if you want to. So.
And Joe Burrow, I mean, he doesn't get enough credit because they haven't won as many games as they should have over the years. But like Joe Burrow, like if you look at some of those games, he's just throwing absolute darts, like dart after dart.
Well, they
after
looked
dart.
so bad in the beginning of the season last year, like so bad. But as Chad Ochocinco still picked them to make it the playoffs, and they almost did because they came back and the defense started playing a little bit better. And Burrow was playing lights out. Like he should have been the MVP last year, actually. But you can't give it to somebody on a team.
Yeah, when they don't make the playoffs, you can't give it to them. But dude, one thing I've noticed, the more I've watched Joe Burrow, I got to give him credit because when he came out of LSU, because they were such a high-powered offense, I thought it was mostly the receivers and the coordinator, right? Because that coordinator was unbelievable, right? He ended up getting an NFL job. So, but if you watch the Bengals games, Joe Burrow throws so many passes that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins just catch like on full speed, and they just keep running full speed. And it's just like he just drops it right there, man. And like he's fantastic. I didn't know how good he would be, but like I got to tell you, I love the way he throws the football. Like
he has no fear. He knows on 3rd and 14 you can get a first down. Like
20 plus yards. If I had to pick a quarterback to get me a 4th and 21. I would pick Joe Burrow over every single quarterback without question.
What about 4th and 26?
Shut the hell up, Dave. Shut the hell up, Dave. Don't you ever say those words to me again. Oh, man, you bastard.
I saw your face. I knew that was coming.
I heard 4th and 20. I had to.
You can't help yourself.
As soon as Derek said the word letter 4, I was like, no, this is going to go.
Oh, God. If anyone out there who's not a Packer fan, if you don't know what 4th and 26 is, I'll never tell you. So, okay. Moving on. Moving on. All right, Chiefs. Joe, you damn big mouth. Bengals have Bills. What you got, buddy? What you got?
You were just mentioning the prettiest ball out there in the league, catches everyone in stride, and those are amazing receivers that he has. Yeah, he can carry that defense for the first round of the playoffs. The Bills, they're gonna play zone defense. Zone defense is good until
you face that rookie corner though, Maxwell.
Oh yeah. But you got one corner who can play man. Everything else about their secondary is set up for zone, and against elite quarterbacks that doesn't work. Levy's cover 2 is great until he faced an elite quarterback. So Bills are coached fairly well, but I just think Joe Burrow is going to be able to become victorious in this one. The next matchup, Chargers, Harbaugh. That their offense is going to be good. That's going to be a lot of running attack by that point, but their defense is still going to have holes. Sean Payton's going to find enough gaps in there. He has his really good puppet that he's able to, do exactly on the field what he wants to. They should have enough of a running attack. So I like the Broncos with that defense. They only have to score 24 points and they're going to win a lot of games. I think it's going to be the same here. You win 24 points or get 24 points, you can beat the Chargers. And for the final matchup, it's the Jaguars in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's the Chiefs in the playoffs. I'm not going to think that one too much. That's just going to be, it's going to be over at halftime.
I mean, I'll roll that into my next game, which is Broncos at Chiefs, which I think is going to be a great game. But I mean, if anything, I'm picking the Zebras to make sure the Chiefs win this game. Like that's all I'll have to say. I think the Broncos will be really good. I think it'll be a tight game, but I think in Kansas City first round, the Zebras will make sure the Chiefs get through. Like nothing else to say. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. Now, Ravens Bengals. These interdivision matchups, like Dave's got Chargers at Broncos, I got Ravens at Bengals. I think it's going to be an awesome game. But yeah, I'm betting on Joe Burrow this year. Sorry, Lamar. Plus, Ravens in the playoffs have been pretty disappointing the last couple of years. They've had some good games, but I love John Harbaugh as a coach too. I love their defensive mindset, but they've been too rough to watch in the playoffs and too inconsistent. So I think the Bengals are just so dangerous that I got to take them as the home team. And then moving to another team that has some playoff woes, as Dave was saying, I mean, the Chargers going to Charger, man. Like if they got a Harbaugh or not, I'm not going to pick the Chargers in the playoffs until I see it. Like I just don't believe they can win playoff games. They're the Chargers. Like
they have patches on their jerseys now, though. So if they win a playoff game, they get a little patch.
Well, that's gross. But yeah, I'm picking Sunshine, Mr. Lawrence, to sneak that game out after the Chargers. Remember the last time these guys played? The Chargers were up by 4 touchdowns, and then had 4 turnovers in the second half, or 3 turnovers, and the first half, Trevor Lawrence had 4 picks, and in the second half, he had 4 touchdowns. So, like, the Chargers charged that game so freaking hard. I think it's gonna like be in their mental, it's gonna mess with them mentally. And so, yeah, I got the Jaguars pulling this out. So I got Chiefs, Bengals, Jaguars. Dave's got Bengals, Broncos, Chiefs, and Hype's got Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals. So we all got the Bengals going through. Interesting. We all got the Chiefs.
I can't believe you guys
through.
are fading the Ravens, though.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Ravens. Well, Dave's got them at the number 1 seed. So you'll see them on the next slide there, Doug. So Dave's got the Ravens at 1. You've got the Bills at 1. I've got the Bills at 1. Yeah, so you just didn't see him last slide there. So, okay, so now you got Bengals. You got Joe Burrow at Josh Allen at the Bills, and then you got Ravens at Chiefs. Walk me through these.
Okay, so we got the Bills and the Bungles, and this could go either way. Like both of these are super awesome quarterbacks, but for some reason, I just feel like the Bills are a team of destiny this year. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, Josh Allen keeps winning like MVPs, keeps putting the team on his back. They just drafted a really good cornerback. Their defense might be better this year, but I don't know what it is. There's a weird force of the universe that somehow Josh Allen just keeps winning football games. Like, Joe Burrow might be better. He might be more accurate. He might be the greatest quarterback of all time. But for some reason, Josh Allen just keeps winning games. I don't know how the hell he does it. I don't know what it is. You could put Oscar the Grouch and Snuffleupagus on his team, and he throws touchdowns. It's weird. And I think the Bills are a team of destiny this year. So they're going to beat the Bungles because the Bungles will have no defense. And then the Ravens and the Chiefs. And I think that the Ravens are just going to run the ball down the throat of the Chiefs. The Chiefs have a pretty good defense, but I think the Ravens are just going to blitz the Chiefs, cause turnovers, and they're just going to run that ball and hold on to that ball all game and cause turnovers and problems to the Chiefs and their old tight end and all the little what's her names Swifties in the audience will cry, and she'll break up with Travis Kelce, and it'll be over with.
Don't talk about. Well, come on now.
They can be happy.
Break it up. Jesus.
Don't break it up. Shake it up. Don't break it up.
Hey, man, I want the Chiefs to lose every football game, but I don't want Travis to lose his lady now. Come on.
I'm just saying that, like, everything in Chiefs land always goes perfectly and great and well for them almost at all times. Like, nothing bad ever happens, but we see that, like, they got away with a lot last year. There's a lot of games they should have lost because of the zebras and stuff.
Wasn't this a playoff matchup 2 years ago?
It was,
and the Ravens
gave the game
they
away.
did great.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
the Ravens
they ran, and then all of a sudden they decided, no, let's try to pass.
Well, no, they had 3 turnovers within the 20-yard line, Dave, or it was 2, like right on the goal line. They had 2 turnovers when they were going in to score, and the Chiefs ended up winning by like 3 or 4 points. And the Ravens should have been up by like 20.
Easily won, but they're not going to make those mistakes.
They should have been up like 21-10, but they got in their own way in that game. Unfortunately, the Ravens did. So, but no, they were the better team, no doubt about it.
Yeah, they're going to be more experienced this time, and their defense is going to be even better. So they're going to win.
All right, so you got Bills, Ravens moving on. Chiefs got Burrow at those Ravens. You got the Ravens going through. Walk me through it, Chief.
Like I said before, I love the dynamic offense of Burrow and his 2 wide receivers. They're fantastic. This is going to be a 34-40 game. There's going to be all sorts of fireworks in this one, but I really think, the defense is finally going to catch up to the Bengals, just because Lamar and that offense with the run game, with the play action, everything else that they do, I think that, they're going to come in with some attitude. They're going to defend their home court. They got the 1 seed. They want to show, okay, this is our year. This is the year that we're going to do it. King Henry is going to be a madman this year. Can't expect him to hold out forever. So I think everyone's going to want to say, hey, let's try to get it, not for him, but let's try to get it. And I think he's going to have that extra fire. He's like, all right, we're the 1 seed. I am not going to throw everything on my back. And he's going to plow right through Trey Hendrickson once he finally signs.
Fair enough.
So that's where I like the Ravens, just because of that running game. In the other matchup, it's just going to be a home field advantage because you have the Chiefs going to Denver. I know you had the history with the Zebras. But I had them splitting in the regular season because I think it's 2 well-coached teams. I think there's a lot of 2 good defenses. Defensive coordinators on both squads are great. 2 offensive-minded head coaches who know how to pick at the other one. I think this one is going to be an amazing chess match. This one, it's not really the coin flip. It's just home field. was a main decision right here because it's one hell of a matchup. I like it.
And I will say too, Dave, you actually had Cincinnati beating the Ravens both times in the regular season, and beating a team 3 times is like almost never happens. So like the Ravens winning that game actually makes a lot of sense to me at home, especially in a divisional matchup. Like that's going to be huge. So yeah, when I was putting this together and I was like, oh, right, the Chiefs didn't win the division in Dave's world. And I was like, it's at Denver. Oh yeah. And so I can see that if the Chiefs have to go to Denver, that's a tough place to play always. So yeah, I could see them pulling it out. So you got Ravens, Broncos.
Yeah, the
AFC Championship game.
the stadium's going to be shaking. No one's going to be able to hear anything at Mile
Yeah.
High because they're going to be so geeked to have Mahomes there in the playoffs. It's going to be livid. I might actually have to fly out and hang out, watch that game with Dougie in person.
Now,
if that game happens, we're totally going to go to that game, and it's going to be fun to watch the Chiefs lose.
I'm wondering, like how many times the Ravens and Broncos have met in the playoffs? Because I'm trying to remember. It's okay, so it's happened one time. It looks like, because
not often.
No, because like when the Broncos were good in like the late 90s, right? The Ravens were the Browns, they just moved, and then the Broncos fell off, and then the Ravens were good, and then the Ravens kind of fell off, and then the Broncos were good with Peyton, right?
Yeah,
and
during
then
the later Flacco years.
and then the Broncos were bad, and then the Ravens are good. So it seems like they've kind of been like on these opposite trajectories for like 25 years of like this team's good, but they're not quite there. So there's not a lot of playoff games. I would love to see Ravens Broncos. I think that would be an awesome AFC Championship game. All right, so let's move on to my side. I got the Jaguars going to Buffalo when it's cold. I love you, sunshine, but you're not pulling this one out. I think the Bills kind of walk them, if I'm being honest. I think if this is the game, I think the Bills win by 2 touchdowns minimum. I don't see it being close. I think the Bills will dominate the Jaguars at home. They're just not there yet. Jaguars need a lot of pieces. I do think they're going to be a lot better this year, but I can't see them going into Buffalo and giving them much trouble. So I got the Bills #1 seed walking there. But this is the game of the week for me. Bengals at Chiefs. Now, they've met twice in the playoffs with Burrow and Mahomes. Obviously, Burrow won the first game, went to the Super Bowl and lost. Mahomes won the second game under some interesting circumstances, zebras. So yeah, the Bengals should have won that game too. So they should be 2-0. And I think this Bengals team offensively is better, maybe not quite as good defensively. And I think this Chiefs team is way worse offensively than those teams were. So I think the Bengals gets a little touch of revenge, and I think they go into Arrowhead and I think they pull it out. So yeah, I'm going Bengals on this one, game 3 out of the I think they go up 2-1 in that playoff series. So I got Buffalo and the Bengals. Moving on, which means we got Ravens at Bills for Doug, Broncos at Ravens for Chiefs, and I got Bengals at Bills right now. So hype. Okay, Lamar goes into Buffalo in the snow probably early February. I think the AFC Championship games are now. So maybe last week of January. It's cold. It's snowy. The Mafia's going nuts. They broke 15 tables before the game.
Yeah, actually, all the ground outside the stadium's frozen from all the spilt liquor freezing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and you got the Bills going through. Okay, why do they beat the Ravens?
They're a team of destiny. They have never won the Super Bowl. They want to go. They're good at getting the Super Bowl and losing, which might happen as if we look at the next page, possibly. They have the Ravens number for some reason. I don't know what it is, but Josh Allen just has this weird thing where he just wins football games and throws lots of touchdowns. And I love the Ravens and everything, but they always have some weird thing happen in the playoffs where they'll mess up and lose a game. And Josh Allen doesn't do that. Josh Allen figures out, I mean, not all the time, but I just see him as more often than not, him just having weird stuff happen to have him win games. He just has these weird intangibles as a quarterback. Of course, he's really talented too. So, and I think that the Bills draft and that cornerback that they drafted is really going to help him a lot. That guy is super fast. I was mad the Packers didn't grab him in the second round. Yeah. Yes, and I think the Bills defense will play better this year, and I think they'll win.
All right. Well, we got Lamar versus Josh, the two guys that have not gotten past Mahomes. They get to a game where he's not there. So you got Josh.
One of
over
them's
Lamar.
bound to get to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
and yeah.
And I would lean toward the home team there too. I think if it was at Ravens, maybe I'd lean at for Baltimore.
Yeah, and the snow and everything, it's going to favor the Bills.
That'll be a really fun AFC Championship matchup. And then you got Sean Payton going to Baltimore, Dave. So is that kind of the same thing for you? Two good defenses. Do you feel like it's at Baltimore? They're going to have the advantage there.
Yeah, two good defenses, two good coaches, but it's going to be the guy who's been there. He's hungrier in Lamar versus a second-year quarterback. It's just going to be, playoffs. Your coach can do so much, but you do need to get a little bit of the seasoning. Can't really see Bo Nix being able to overcome that Ravens defense. It'd be amazing if he did, but I just kind of give the edge to, give it to the veteran. And like I said before, King Henry, it's going to be a brutal game for him going against that defense, but I think Lamar is going to be able to do just enough to get him to the next level.
And honestly, even though the Broncos defense is good, I'll take King Henry over the Broncos running backs every day because we don't even know what Harvey's going to be. Like, we don't know if they're going to have any power run game, which, let's be honest, in the playoffs, you got to be able to run the football or at least be really creative to move the ball in short chunks. So, I could see King Henry winning that game against the Broncos. I could definitely see that.
But they got J.K. Dobbins now.
They got J.K. Dobbins.
Who Dougie's been pulling real hard to get him on his dynasty roster.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he has a cool name. I just like J.K. Dobbins. I don't know.
You like J.K. Dobbins. He sounds like he would be an excellent lawyer, by the way.
He's right. He's always hurt. And I'm just like, why am I even trying to trade for
J.K. Dobbins here to score touchdowns. All right. So he's got the Ravens going through. He's got Lamar going to his first Super Bowl. Dougie's got Josh going to his first Super Bowl. Dave's got Lamar going to his first. Now, I got the Bengals, who I'm really high on, and Joe Burrow, who I just talked great about, who has been to a Super Bowl, going to Buffalo, and that's my main thing. If it's cold, if it's snowy, if it's nasty in Buffalo, I mean, Josh Allen is going to make it work. And I don't think Burrow is going to be bad, but I just think, Josh Allen was built for that situation. And to me, guys, honestly, this Buffalo team and Josh Allen remind me so much of the mid-'90s Packers, of the Brett Favre Packers, of, him just carrying the team on the back and going to the playoffs and losing to those Cowboys teams, which are kind of like, the Chiefs for a while, and almost getting there and almost getting there and almost getting there. And then finally in 97, they beat the 49ers. They don't have to play the Cowboys that year, but they beat another really good team, go to the Super Bowl and win. I kind of feel like that's the path for the Bills. I don't know if in my heart of hearts, I could pick them to beat the Chiefs. If that was the matchup, I don't know if I could pick them to beat the Chiefs, but I think if they play anybody but the Chiefs, I don't think I can pick against the Bills. They just look so good, especially at home. Yeah, I'm going Josh Allen over Joe Burrow here in the snow in Buffalo. Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, first Super Bowl for me, just like hype. So those are our winners, guys. Now let's go to the Super Bowl.
Whoa, look at this.
Super Bowl. So Trent's got the Packers in the Super Bowl. I would love to see it. I can't do it. Hype did not. Yes, he did. He totally made it so that the Packers got around the hard team.
As I always pick, this is the thing though. I picked all the regular season games, right?
Yeah.
Without thinking about nothing about who's whatever. Then when everything got matched up in the playoffs, all of a sudden, at the last second, I decided I was like, wait, I had the Eagles beating the Commanders, but then I was like, the Commanders losing to the Lions, but then I was like, wait a second, the Commanders kicked the Lions' butt last year. I just remembered that, and I was like, the Commanders are going to beat them.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden it shifted to all these teams being around that the Packers could potentially beat. Now, if the Packers had to play the Eagles in the playoffs, they probably lose, right? And or a team like the Chiefs that's just has a good defense and certain things and tangibles, they probably lose. But the Commanders, some of these other teams, they could beat. There's just certain matchups. When they play the Cowboys, they just they play really well. And so it just turned out that these games were all very winnable for the Packers, including this game. So,
hey man, hold on. Now look, I love you being a homer, but before you go on, because we have the next screen coming up, before you tell me who you have winning the game, guys, don't tell me who you have winning the game. Tell me what you think is going to happen in the game. What do you think each team
how the game will
good
go
at? Yeah, and all that stuff. But then we're going to go to the next screen and we'll actually reveal our winners on the next screen. So don't tell me who won. Just tell me how you think the Super Bowl goes, what team does what well, what team doesn't do what well. And then we'll go to the next screen and we'll reveal our winners, okay? So in a Green Bay Buffalo matchup, Super Bowl 60, right? Super Bowl 60, guys, the big L10 there. ep.16, I guess you should say. This is a cool Super Bowl. It's in LA. Green Bay versus Buffalo. What do you expect to see in this game, Hype?
Okay. I'm going to make an actual argument here. Do you remember when LaFleur came in and he had Rodgers the first 2 years? They went 13-3. They went to the NFC Championship game and stuff we were joking about or whatever. Those teams, that was a roster of guys the year before that were trash, and he got them to play really well and really make a mark in the league. Rodgers won the MVP. I think the Packers are in the Super Bowl because LaFleur is doing all the things that you say. Like some games he tightens the butthole, whatever. Some games he lets loose and he just lets everybody play, and it's like fireworks, right? I think because they can rely on the offensive line playing a little bit better and pushing people around, that loosens everything up. And then it's the offensive line. And of course, Josh Jacobs like running really well, but it's Matthew Golden is the thing, guys, here. Whenever Jordan Love needs a first down, and even back when Rodgers needed to go to somebody, he could go to Devontae and rely on him, right? That's what moved the chains. They didn't really do a whole lot other than trick plays and releasing the tight end of LaFleur's little schemes. They have a guy now they can just rely to get a first down. They haven't had that in so long. It's been completely insane. They're going to go whenever he needs somebody, they're going to go to Matthew Golden, and he's going to catch the ball. He's not going to drop it. Like if you watch the guy in training camp, I know it's just training camp, but his route running and his movement is so smooth and quick. Like everyone else looks like a trash compared to him. It just looks so good. And it makes you realize the Packers have not actually had a good wide receiver in a really long time who's actually really good. Like good.
I mean, Devontae was on the team. Right? Devontae was on the team like 3 years ago. It's not that long.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's not that long
years ago.
Bro, it seems like a long time.
Bro, I love you, and I love the Green Bay Packers, but like, I am not expecting a rookie wide receiver to take us to the Super Bowl, dude.
You are not expecting that, but I am.
Okay, all right, you called it.
You're gonna get the Super Bowl.
You love Matthew Golden so much. I'm more of a wait and see guy. I'm really excited we got Matthew Golden.
Well, this is the thing. I'm watching him run, and I'm watching his movement and what he does, and the thing is that normally I'd be like, no big deal, but if you look at his tape. He catches tough passes. He doesn't drop the ball. He's like a really good wide receiver.
Well, that's why we got him.
Tough passes.
And I agree. And I do think that Jordan Love's going to be exceedingly better this year because he's not going to be dealing with 2 injuries. And he also had the most third down drops of any quarterback.
I'm saying he had no reliable guys.
Like so many third down drops.
There was no one reliable to go to.
It's disgusting. And they still finished top 10 in offense. Let's not act like their offense was bad. It was good. It just was inconsistent.
It turned into the only guy he trusted was Tucker Kraft. And like how you really expect Tucker Kraft to win you playoff games by himself? He can't do himself.
Plus, I will say I like how Goody pushes guys on the team. Like he drafted, I think, Jordan Love not just to ultimately replace Rodgers, but I think he saw Rodgers getting a little uninterested. And what happened when Jordan Love got drafted? Rodgers back-to-back MVPs. Yes. He switched it on, right?
Yes.
So I'm hoping that our other wide receivers that should have been better last year see this competition from Golden, and 1 or 2 of them switch it on and actually show that potential or show that next step.
And this is all assuming that Christian Watson is back with his speed and everything. Because if you ever look at Jordan Love's highlight tapes and all these great things that he's done in the past, especially 2 years ago, they had the full offense. Christian Watson was there to run a long skinny post to pull the defense away. When that went away, it made Jordan Love just frustrated and not able to really make the offense work very well. But now, not only do they have Christian Watson, who's got deep speed and is a danger, they have another guy who can do it and push the wide receivers to actually maybe catch the ball once in a while. But they have all the rest of the tools there on offense to be a good offense. You saw how bad the offense looked at times when the receivers just couldn't do much of anything. So that is going to be what allows Jordan Love to play well, is having reliable guys that he can just go to, that'll just catch the ball, get first downs. That's what we need, right?
All right.
Matthew Golden doesn't have to be getting 200 yards a game. He can get 70, 80 yards, but just get those first downs, right?
All right. So how does the Packers defense versus Josh Allen look in this game?
So it's going to be tough because Josh Allen is going to he's really going to take advantage of cornerbacks that don't do very good in coverage, and he can just force the ball in there with his big arm. But the thing is, the Bills don't have a great running game, and the Packers have a good running defense. The Bills aren't going to be able to run on the Packers. So Josh Allen's going to have to do everything. And the Packers, like I said, have those safeties that cause turnovers and linebackers that cause turnovers, interceptions. sack fumbles and stuff like that. So the guys like Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, and their linebackers who are crazy fast, and Edger and Cooper are going to cause turnovers. And if you remember when the Packers won the Super Bowl last time, they had Nick Collins back there returning picks for touchdowns. And they had like Charles Woodson's back there who could cause these issues for people. And I'm not saying that these guys are the same, but Xavier McKinney was rated as a top safety in the league last year. Evan Williams is really good. Edger and Cooper, these guys fly around and cause trouble. And there's not many teams that have pieces like that can fly around and cause disruption like these guys. So that's going to be the reason that Josh Allen is going to get some turnovers, and it's going to be game over, and the Packers are going to win.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, though. The Bills did have a decent running game. Now, let's remember, like 800 of that yards is Josh Allen, right? And another
it's because his running.
Yeah, and 800 to 900 was Cook, and then Cook had a bunch of rushing touchdowns, and Allen had a bunch of rushing touchdowns, which he ultimately won the MVP. So, like, if they can stop Josh Allen from doing a ton of damage, then I would say, yes, their running game isn't.
That's why I'm saying they got people like Edger and Cooper. They can
spot
the quarterback if they
how
need
many
to.
teams stop Josh Allen from running? Not a lot. Like, that would be a struggle still.
But how many teams have like Quay Walker and Edger and Cooper are really fast? They're waiting for him.
I think Edger and Cooper, I'm not saying he would cancel out Josh Allen, but I would say if he was like a rover versus Josh Allen, I think I'd take Edger and Cooper to take him down. Yeah, maybe not every time, but I can see that. All right, so Doug talked about the Packers for 10 minutes, but we're not going to say who we picked. But I think we know. I think we already know who I'm going to pick. We don't. There's no suspense. Okay, Chief, let's go to yours and see if there's any suspense here. Okay, Lions versus Ravens, and the AFC team is home, guys, so it just doesn't matter what their records are, but AFC is home in Super Bowl 60.
Oh, the AFC is the home team? Okay,
AFC is the home team, yeah. So the Packers are also being white. All right, Lions at Ravens, Chief. What do you got? What do you see in this game?
In this team, I see a balanced offense for Detroit. They have two dynamic running backs. They have Amon-Ra at wide receiver. Williams, like we just said before, he had a good year last year. It was the first year in his life he actually lifted weights. Who knew? All of a sudden you're quicker off the line when you actually have some power because you know how to do a squat. So Jameson Williams going to have a better year this year. You got Laporta out there. And one thing, we talk about their line, they lost their center. That sucks. He's an amazing. But Taylor Decker, Penny Sewell, and then Christian Mahogany, the rookie they got out of Boston College in the 6th round last year on PFF, they gave him a 91 run block grade last year.
That's good.
That's good. Baller. I was screaming for the Bears to draft him. If we could have gotten him and then the Boston College tackle this year, oh baby! But
honestly, in that draft, I thought Mahogany was going to go in the 4th round. I can't believe he went in the 6th last year.
That was a beautiful pickup for them.
It was.
So, and that's exactly what you want to ensure to have a balanced offense to go against an aggressive defense like the Ravens have. For that history, because the Ravens, you got studs all over. They just added Starks out there, Malachi Starks, to pair him with Hamilton. That, along with the Packers, is a dynamic safety duo. That's a hell of a tandem. You got Humphrey out at corner. You got Wiggins out there. You got Matabuke getting pressure on the D-line. There's a lot of really nice pieces out there. Roquan Smith, I was sad when we let him go. I thought we were going to rebuild. Didn't think I'd still like to see him, but I think it's two well-balanced teams. I like the balance of the Lions a little bit more to be able to move the ball. And then we're going to flip it. We're going to look, okay, how about the Ravens offense? That's a strong running attack, man.
Yeah.
With Lamar and King Henry. Andrews, he's got to make up for that catch last year, man.
If Andrews is healthy, he's still an amazing tight end. But yeah, he's had a bunch of injuries, right? I mean, they still got Zay Flowers. Like, they got Bateman, they re-signed him, who I think is a decent 2-ish, like lower on the spectrum for 2. But like when you got Andrews, when you got Lamar, what I would like to see too, though, is other than King Henry running the ball, I would like to see more pass plays for Henry because he's not a bad catcher. People forget. Like, he can catch the football. He's a very talented human being. Getting him out there against cornerbacks is like ideal. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to tackle him anyway, let alone a cornerback. But my question for you is this, Dave, and this is, I think, why I had a hard time picking the Lions, and not just because of the coordinators, but we've seen Jared Goff get to the Super Bowl with the Rams and then lay a complete egg. And we've seen him throw up massive stats with the Lions and then go to the playoffs and lay a complete egg. Like, I just don't trust Jared Goff at all in the playoffs, like not even a little bit. So do you think this Ravens team finds a way to stumble? make him stumble, or do you think he plays well in this game?
I think that they're going to be able to make him cause 2 or 3 mistakes.
Okay.
And one of them is, don't want to give anything away on the final, but I think there might be 2 or 3 mistakes, and one of them's going to be in the fourth quarter.
One too many. I could see that. That's kind of been Jared Goff in the playoffs, though. It's like he's still a good quarterback. We can see it, right? Like he works extremely well in this Detroit system. We'll see this year with the new coordinator. But like, yeah, he's just been really, really stressful to watch in the playoffs if you are cheering for the Lions, which I don't. But
like I said, they have a lot of tools around that can make them succeed, but in the Super Bowl, it's going to be all right. You're going to go against a smart defense, a Harbaugh defense.
Yep.
And a lot of players that know where to go. Roquan Smith, that leader, he's going to make sure everyone's in position. So it's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to go all the way to the fourth quarter, and it's going to get down to the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, Lions and the Dan Campbell toughness against the Ravens' gritty, just dirty defense and running the ball style would be a pretty fun Super Bowl. I think it'd be lower scoring. I think it'd be in the 20s, maybe. I don't see this as a high-scoring game, but like it also could be a 40-40 game. Like that's what's cool about both of these teams is they have explosives and they have the ability to score, but they also have the ability to win tight games and play tight. So like, yeah, I think that'd be a good matchup. So let's move on to mine. I did put the Eagles back in, obviously, because I can't pick LaFleur to win a championship game yet. I think Jalen Hurts, and if Saquon's healthy, like the Bills aren't going to stop him. I'm just going to be honest. The Bills are not going to stop Saquon. Hurts is unbelievable in the playoffs. Like he turns almost into a different quarterback in the playoffs, but he still is prone to mistakes. But the Eagles, I think, are super tough. Where the Bills, they've got the history, man, 0-4 in the Super Bowl. You know, they've got all those heartbreaking losses to the Chiefs. The Bills, you know, I think their defense is going to be better. I like the cornerback pickup. I think they're eventually going to work out the deal with Cook. I think Josh Allen might be the most dangerous player in the NFL, even more so than Lamar, even though Lamar's a better runner. I think Josh on the run in dynamic plays, throwing the ball is just a little bit scarier to me. And Hurts has shown that same ability too in the playoffs. Like Hurts on the run, making plays has been unbelievable in the playoffs. Like everything looks to me like the Eagles should win this game, but let's move on. Because it is a team of destiny, and I do got the goddamn Buffalo Bills winning the championship. Hype said it was a team of destiny, and then he picked the Packers to beat them anyway. I mean, we all knew he was going to do
They're a team of destiny, but they don't have Tucker Kraft on their team.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Tucker Kraft is savior. Tucker Kraft statue going up in 10 years from now.
It's going up. You know it is.
All right. I mean, Doug, you already told us for like an hour and a half why you think the Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. But just give me a real quick reaction as to why you think they win their 5th Super Bowl, Super Bowl 60, 14th NFL championship. Why is this Packers team the Super Bowl champion?
They got the addition of Matthew Golden, which is really what Jordan Love needs. He needs that reliable receiver, so that unlocks the offense. On defense, they have these guys that cause turnovers, and there's barely any defense in the league that has guys like Evan Williams, Xavier McKinney, and Edgerrin Cooper on defense, and Quay that are fast and can just like in a second like cause a big issue for you, an interception, turnover. So the history of the Packers, whenever they win these Super Bowls, there's always something like Desmond Howard in 96, 2010, they had Nick Collins returning a pick for a touchdown. So there's going to be multiple turnovers for big returns by the Packers in this game, and that's what's going to put them over for the win.
All right. Defense wins championships, baby. All right, Chief, you've got King Henry with his crown, the 3rd Super Bowl win for the Ravens, first for Lamar, obviously, and their 3rd championship because the Cleveland years do not count when they won those NFL championships. Those do belong back to the Browns, which, by the way, that is the correct way to do it, Cleveland and Baltimore. So good job for you there. But 3rd championship for Harbaugh, but first for Lamar, and you got King Henry in the crown. Why are they going to win this game?
I think that King Henry his run game is going to help to neutralize the rush from, the big set on the Lions just enough.
Yeah. And like you said, turnover, right?
Yeah. I want to see Roquan involved either in the strip sack. I want him to get a fumble. I just, you got Hamilton and Roquan back there. They're so smart. They're both fast. They can easily, you get pressure with Matabuke up on Goff, and then one of them can pick something off. It's going to be a back-breaking mistake halfway through the fourth quarter is going to be the ultimate cause, and Henry's going to be able to retire with a crown.
I hear you. All right. And then the reason I picked the Bills is just because, like I said, this team reminds me so much of those like 96, 97 Packers teams where like they've just been struggling for so many years to get over the hump. This is Josh Allen's eighth season starting. He's looked so good. He's won MVPs. He's got to the playoffs, but he's never quite got over that hump. And in my thing, he doesn't have to play the Chiefs. He does go to play the Eagles. I think the Eagles, with their playoff experience, the Bills are a little bit stressed out. They take the lead and they maintain the lead for most of the game. But I think Josh Allen pulls out some just nonsense, and he ends up bringing the Bills back to win their first Super Bowl ever, breaking the curse. First Super Bowl, first NFL championship. They had 2 AFL titles, guys, but no NFL, obviously, since they've merged in. I think the Bills break the curse this year. I think Bills Mafia burns down their stadium. They get a new one anyway. And I think finally the Bills break the curse. I really hope they do. I'm not a Bills fan, but their fan base and just the way that they've been reminds me so much of those Packers teams that like it's really hard for me not to like cheer for them a little bit. So if I'm not hoping the Packers win, which I am, of course, but LaFleur, you got to show it to me. I'm gonna pick the Bills. I'm gonna pick the Bills to win this year. And that's it, guys. That's our prediction. So Doug Hype goes 100% Homer. Cigar Packers winning the Super Bowl. I hope you're right, bro. I really hope you're right. Dave goes for King Henry, and I got Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills winning their first Super Bowl ever. So there we go. That's our playoff predictions. It's a bit longer video, but it was a lot of fun. That's the 2025 playoffs for Fool's Ball. So what are we going to do next, guys? We're going to do trivia. You want to do a trivia episode? Maybe we could do like an NFC North or a Super Bowl trivia episode or something in our next one. But
we can look at playoff droughts, playoff win droughts.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, playoff related. What do you think, Doug? Since we just did a playoff one, should we do a playoff quiz or playoff, Jeopardy or whatever? Just he's got the scar. He doesn't care. The Packers won.
I don't know why you're pulling about.
Yeah, you're like, next step. Who cares? We won the Super Bowl. I'm not going to make it. All right, that's all we got, guys. If you stayed for the whole episode, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. We really love doing this for you. We're going to be back doing a lot more content over the summer. We're going to get into fantasy football. We're going to do quizzes. We're going to do that sort of thing. And as the season starts, we're obviously going to come back. We're going to try to do every Monday during the season so we can talk about the weekend's game and, of course, the Monday night game. So thanks for joining. Any last words, guys? Anything you got to say, Chief or Hype?
Chief, go first.
Oh, it's now that we're done talking about the playoffs, it's time to talk about the Bears.
No, it's not.
About the entire episode. No, we're in the off season now. The Super Bowl just happened. It's the Bears' time to shine.
No, we're already in the off season 2026. Oh my God, we can't talk about them winning the off season next year already. Like, oh my God,
you're getting distracted. We need to concentrate on what's important here. What's important is we're going to be the Rookie of the Year podcast, just like Matthew Golden's going to be Rookie of the Year.